Okay, what I'd like to show you now is how to remove the front lower control arm bushings from the factory lower control arms. If you're going to replace them with polyurethane bushings, you got to get these mofos out, and that is very difficult. But the way I do it is I take one of these hammer guns. Anyway, I take one of these hammer guns, and I'm not going to bother putting it back in there, and I'll put it right there, and I just chisel for, a minute, or not a minute, just a couple of seconds, and it breaks a little gap. There you go. You can see there's a little gap there now, and that gap is big enough to fit a Sawzall in. And then I saw off that one end. That way it gets rid of the metal flange around it. You just saw off that one end, and you got to do the outside here and the outside one over here, and then you can put it in a press and press out the bushing. The whole assembly comes out, but you got to get that cap off, and that's the tough part. So I'll cut the cap off and then take it to the press. Okay, I just got this cap off. See, this is the cap here. You got to get it off because, see, there's metal around the cap, so you can't push it through. You probably could with the press. It would just scrape up the inside of the control arm where the bushing goes. See, here's the other caps I gotten off. And it's okay to leave a little bit on there. See, I left a little bit right there because I don't want to cut into the control arm. So now I'm going to take it over here to the press, and this is not easy to do. I don't know if I'm doing it right. All right. So once I have it on the press, I just use, see if I can balance this with one leg and record. And get it to come down a little bit. Okay. There you go. Now it's going to hold there. So and then you can just push it through. See how it's coming out the other side? There goes one of them. Oops, so I hit the edge of the control arm, so I'm going to back it off here a little bit and recenter it. Okay. There we go. You can see the other one coming out. There we go. Now you can see the bushings are out of there. So that is a royal pain in the butt. Now I'm just going to clean these up. You can see where I slipped with the Sawzall a little there. So I'm just going to sand that down and spray a little bit of paint back on it. Nicked a little bit up right there. But man, that's the only way I figured out how to get these out. I'm sure there's some special tool. See, I slipped with the Sawzall a little there. I'll just clean that up. It's just scratches, superficial. So then, that's so we can put in these polyurethane bushings, which I'll record next. So here are the polyurethane bushings from Strong Flex. And the bushings, when they come in the kit, they're very easy to slip in here, right? And they also give a pack of this graphite grease for each bushing, right, for each side. I'm not sure where they intend this to be used. Just from experience with the race car, it's to be applied on the outside of the bushing so it stays lubricated and pivots correctly in the joint on the car. However, I'm lubricating the inside of the bushing, the pin that goes through the middle, and the outside, because polyurethane can bind and squeak. Anyway, there's a trick to putting these in. You don't want to slip these in and then drive this in, because the hole is a little bit smaller than this, and this causes it to expand and makes it a tight fit. So I've already put it in one side, but the trick is you get it started just on a piece of wood. Just tap it with a rubber mallet. I started it with this one. And then once it's started, then you slip the bushing in and you pound it in the rest of the way with the hammer. And this one's in there. This one's tight. You can see the graphite I've got smeared everywhere. So I'm going to start that and show you what it looks like. Okay, you can see here I went ahead and greased up the side of the bushing, left a little bit in the pack so I can grease the outsides. And then I've got this pin started. And all you do at this point, now I like to start it from this side, right? And I'll show you why. I'm going to start it from the inside, so then you can lift up the control arm and pound it downward so it holds the other bushing in place as you pound it down with the hammer. And now that I've got that pounded in, this is where the surface that mates with the car is right there. So that's where I'm going to put the graphite grease. And they have plenty of packs, so they want you to be, you know, liberal with the stuff. So squirt that out all over here. There we go. And so there's graphite all over any surface that mounts with something on the bushing. And you don't need it here because this doesn't make contact on the car. It's here and here. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up the other control arm, and then I'm going to take those out. And I don't think you can see them. Great, I just got graphite all over my phone screen. And then I'm going to put these in. Okay, these are all pressed in, ready to go, and I just removed the front control arms, and this is, you know, see it's a little dirty and rusty in there, so I just want to clean this up pretty good before I put those in there. And I'm going to clean it off with some brake cleaner and stuff. I just want to get that real clean. I'll probably hit this with some black paint up inside here before I reinstall everything. And here's the bolts, the original bolts that came out. I'll just temporarily put those in there, but I want to order some new grade 8 bolts because, you know, I'm sure these would be fine, but we're going to race the car, and those are, you know, coming up on 30 years old. So anyway, let me stick these in there and get back with you. Alright, I've just put some paint in these mounting points for the lower control arms, you know, just to keep rust and stuff out of there. So I'm letting that dry before I put these control arms in. Alright, I have the control arms installed. They went in there really easy. You can see the grease squirting out all around there. That's the graphite grease. Also, before I remove the pin, see I put a white mark on the alignment. That's like an alignment disc. I put a white mark on it so I can kind of get it in the ballpark when I put them back together. You can see there's a white mark up there on that one also. I haven't tightened them down, but you can see they're in there, and so that went relatively smooth. Now I'm just figuring out how to assemble this front suspension. It's incredibly complex. It looks like we have looks like it goes something like this. So there's a helper spring. Let's see. So this plate right here is going to that'll actually mount right there. I'm guessing, yeah, it looks like that goes right there in the lower control arm, like that. And then this whole device mounts on top of it like this. But and this is a helper spring, and then this goes up into the spring perch. So I'm just going to make sure I'm doing that right. I'm going to contact the suspension manufacturer, N-Trax. So what I'm doing right now is a test fit. I put the spindle onto the ball joint. You can see the ball joint there. And I just have the bolts in there loose. And I'm doing a test fit of the shock, or the strut. It mounts in the same exact spot as the factory Mercedes. And that's going to be pretty damn cool. So I'm going to see if I can test fit this and the spring up into the pocket up there. I got to remove that brake I've got hanging. That thing is just in the way. So we'll see how this goes. And now I'm looking at the rear end. And of course I'm going to clean this up and paint it. But I've started taking out bolts for the control arms, and it looks like, this is more of a video for myself, so I'm looking from the rear here. There's the old differential, and it looks like this control arm is going to mount here on the top with the angle, it's kind of a V shape like that. And so look at some of the other ones. It looks like this long one here is going to mount, yeah, I think that's going to mount somewhere right here. Yeah, it's too long for that one. Yeah, I'm guessing that one's going to mount here. There's the front of the differential. This one will mount here. The short one is going to mount here up on the top. Here's the front of the differential. And then this, whoa, whoops. And then this guy, I'm guessing, is going to mount, yeah. See that fitting there? That looks similar to that fitting here. So I'm guessing this is going to mount, yep, that's going to mount underneath there. Yep, that's exactly how that's going to work. So I have 1, 2, 3, and this fourth one mounts there on the bottom. So I'm going to start disassembling this now that I've taken photos of where everything goes. The nuts are all facing forward towards the front of the car, is where the nuts are all on here. That one there. Now the one underneath here, the nut actually is towards the back of the car. And then, yep, the nut's towards the back of the car on that one also. But, let's see, and if I look here, this nut is towards the back of the car, and this one is towards the front of the car. So just wanted to document that before I started taking everything apart. Down there in the bottom, let's see, yeah, this one, the nut actually, there's a hole in the heat shield. I'm not going to be running heat shields though, or brake dust shields, whatever you want to call those. So that's how that goes. Alright, so I'm going to start taking this guy apart. What I'm up to tonight is disassembling the rear end. Here's a handy little puller I got from the tool rental over at AutoZone. And, you know, put that on your, I I guess we'll call that the hub, and you can press out the axle. You don't need to get it all the way through, just, you know, break it loose if it's rusted on those flanges. And now what I'm doing is removing the bolt that holds the lower control arm. Oh, sorry, before I did that, I got the, before I started pressing that, I got the dust shield loose, and there's 3 little Allens. You can see there's one of the holes there, and you can stick a, you know, turn this and stick a tool, there you go, you can see it, through there and get those Allens out. That'll break the dust shield free. And then let's see, right here, there's a little slot for a 5mm hex on the end, and you need to put that there so you can unscrew the nut. The hex will actually just go down and start pressing against this lower control arm here, and so it'll hold it still while you undo that nut. Let's see, what else have I done? Undid some things back here. Undid this lower control arm here. That's actually all the way out of the car right now. It's just laying on the rear end. Let's see if I can get that knocked out of there. There we go. So actually on the end that connects to the knuckle, you can see it goes through right there. There is a sleeve in there. I guess that's what that is. Yeah, there's a sleeve that goes through the lower connection point, which is right there. And also on the back of that, there's some weird shaped washer. See that washer there? That's very strange. So just disconnecting all this so I can actually remove the hub and all the control arms. Now once you have broken this tie rod, taken the nut off, you actually need to get a tie rod press in there so you can break it loose, because tie rods, you know, are press fit, so you'll need to break that loose with that tool. Okay, once you have everything disconnected, all the control arms, you have the I guess that's kind of like a ball joint tie rod pressed out, the lower control arm disconnected, and these actually disconnected the other sides. Here's why the puller is handy. You need to get this off the axle, right? So just throw the puller on there, and there you go. It pulls it right off. So there's a little puller. You guys need to see like a part number or something on that. It's just from Advanced Auto 648613. And it's cool. This is only 50 bucks, and it comes with the small arms you can attach, which I have on here right now, or it has larger arms in the kit, so you can take it apart and put larger arms on it. Anyway, I've got that off of here, and let me show you the new hubs that are going on. Here are the new hubs from the Kangaroos. These are very nice. I mean, I guess basically it's just it's a stock 124, but it's beefed up. They put some sort of coating on here, which is kind of cool. I mean, it's still rusting through, but they put a new like bearing in here, and that feels like a spherical eye bearing behind a rubber boot. I guess it's greased is how they do that. And then the nice big dog axle tips. Let's go compare the difference here and see what we're looking at. I think these are like something like okay. There's factory Mercedes. There's the Kangaroos. So it's got a really big, there you go, you can see the difference. Very few splines there, a lot of splines here. That's probably 20 something, that's probably 30 something. Anyway, oh, look who it is. It's Shannon and Pumpkin Butt. What's up? That's Thomas, and this is Shannon. This is actually Shannon's car that we're building up here, taking apart the differential. And that's Thomas. My sister gave us Thomas for Christmas. Thomas, what are you doing back there?
Hi, Daddy.
He is eating a leaf. He loves eating leaves. Anyway, I'll keep working on this, take apart the other side. So now we have the hubs off the car, and I just detached the, this is like a 10 millimeter hex under here that undoes the front of the differential. Let's see if I can put some light on there. There you go, you can see the hex there. That goes through the differential there, it holds the front. That's like 10 millimeter Allen and 17 on the top. Took that off. I'm gonna have to order an Allen. This is either a 12 or a 13. I don't have the right size to remove those, and those actually screw into the back diff cover. So once I get those out, I can then lift basically this rear end subframe assembly off the differential. I'm going to go ahead and remove the lower control arms, a bolt there and a bolt there, and those will pop off. These bushings are in surprisingly good shape. That's pretty amazing. The car only had 100,000 miles on it though. Let me just take the orientation of the video for myself, what that control arm looks like. Notice the nut is on the back when you reassemble, when I reassemble it, and spring pocket is in that position. So anyway, I'm going to pop those off and then order an Allen or go to Home Depot and remove that diff. And then I can clean this rear end up. And I don't know, I might weld some spots that I think may be weak for racing. This looks like maybe a little triangular brace could go here. And this is pretty flimsy metal. This thing just looks really weak for racing. All the really pro Mercedes restoration guys say don't worry about it, it'll hold up. However, if you look at AMG cars like the 190 or the 420s or 500 124s, they have beefy tubes that run across the rear end, and then the baby Hammer, I think with the 190E, has reinforcement braces that come up to the underside of the car from the rear end and actually attach right here on both sides to stiffen the rear end. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with this, but anyway, I'll get that diff removed and the lower control arms and then get this cleaned up really nice. Okay, here we are a few days later. I had to wait on a triple square to get this out, and I ordered this little kit on Amazon for like $17, $18, and it's some triple squares, and that's what that looks like. It's not a Torx, it actually has, so I can get that to focus. There we go. It's got like 12 around there, I guess. But sure enough, that's what fits in there, and they so nicely put this control arm right in the way of actually removing it, but It looks like that's going to do. And then to get the diff out, I've got it tilted up so we can't see it very well, but there are some Allen bolts here and here, and I needed a number 12. There we go. That's a 1/2-inch drive, number 12. It's going to be a little noisy because I got the shop heater on. Let's see how this works here. That's a hefty bolt there. Voila! See what we got here. See if I can do this with one hand. And there we have it, folks. The rear end carrier. So we got the diff, all the control arms. That's the lower spring, I guess. I'll call it a control arm. And then this guy. So I got the rear end outside here. I cleaned it up with the pressure washer and then hit it with some brake cleaner, and I wiped it down. And now I painted it with some chassis, gloss chassis paint. And man, this looks brand new. Even has the original Mercedes sticker still on it that I wiped the paint off of so I could pretend this was new. And it looks great. Anyway, we're right now here. Let's flip this over the way we had it before. There we go. And what we're doing now is putting in the Strong Flex bushings. You really can't do it wrong. And I think we're going to lube them up with the graphite grease that's supplied, and then press those guys in there. Once they're in there, pound that insert in with the hammer. Okay, right now we're just putting in the subframe bushings, putting some graphite grease on here because polyurethane against metal squeaks really bad. So anywhere we have contact with metal, we're just putting the grease. Already got these pushed in, and you'll notice this side is a large hole and this side's just a small hole. So the bolt goes through here, and then there's actually a, what would you call that on the car? A nub that slides into this. And we tested it and it fit. Same with these.
Except this is reversed, so you got to make sure to, whenever you're putting this one in, to have this aluminum.
Where's the flat side? There you go. Let's put that one in. There's the flat side. And these literally just slide in. And you just tap it home. And that's a rubber mallet. And here's the other one here. Yeah, I'll just video you doing it. They never get to see me actually doing the stuff.
Good, finger painted in, you know. Don't be afraid. It's all right.
What's Thomas doing? Hey Thomas, were you working on cars earlier? Yeah. Let me see your face. Let me see your face. You got some grease on your face? He was eating a fan clutch bolt earlier. You got the flat side. When we're talking about the flat side, if you look over here, this bushing can only go in one way. See, there's a flat side there and a flat side there. This just like went dark all of a sudden.
Oh, with the auto.
Yeah, there we go. I don't know why it's dark right now, but whatever. So you hammer that in, and then we'll flip it over. We put the little caps on. Whoa. This is such a flimsy little rear subframe. So I like to put some of the grease.
That'd be outside with the numbers on it.
I guess.
No,
it looks like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Here you go, put a little grease around the part that's going to make contact with the metal. see this guy. How much we got in here? Put some on that bushing there all around it. That way it doesn't squeak like crazy, because again, polyurethane squeaks like crazy. So we'll put a liberal coating on here. There we go. And probably just tap that on with the hammer.
There we go.
Yeah, go ahead and tap that guy on there. That's all it wants to go, huh?
Yep.
Seems like that should be driven in a little farther, doesn't it? See that it's not all the way.
We can try and do that.
Now I'm going to put this side on and see. And what we noticed here is that there's a little bit of lip there. So I think we're going to flip it over and just tap it a little with a socket on the other side to make it go in a little further. Let's go ahead and tap this side on here.
I gotta get it started with my hands first. There we go. See, that's about all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can really see that there's a lip here. So we're going to drive it in a little bit farther. We're going to flip this over. Here, you got it, Alex?
Yeah.
Now, if we drive it in further, it's not going to fully engage. So what do you think?
I would just leave it like that, and then once you put the washer on there, it'll pack
mush
that on there.
Yep. All right, let's go see how this fits. Here is we're just test fitting, because ultimately I have to assemble this on the ground. But that goes in very nice with the polyurethane bushings. And they sent washers to be used, but these are the original Mercedes, and they seemed a little wider than the ones they sent. So I'm using the original Mercedes. But really happy with how that fits. It went up there really nicely.
Looking at that, I wonder if you might have to use a spacer in there.
Where's that?
Just with.
Oh yeah, you definitely pushed it up in there. It's just not all the way on there, that's all. We just barely have it threaded.
Yeah. So it'll cinch it down once you.
I'll probably lower the car down and put a jack stand underneath it and lower it onto the jack stand and just force the whole thing up there.
Yeah.
Anyway, cool. Next we're going to put it on the ground and start assembling the control arms, and over there are the hubs and axles. Looking good. This side is coming together nice. Got a test fit of the sway bar with the new Strong Flex bushings and the new sway bar brackets. Actually on this bracket, if you can see right here, I had to put a little washer here and here, and what that did is tilted it a little closer to the car to get it to line up with the bushing. It was like kind of pointed outwards a little bit. You can see how this one is straight up and down. The other one was a little bit off. This sway bar is a tight fit. It took us some finagling, and it's also a different shape. You'll notice this bar comes out way in front of the oil pan. I guess that's because it was made for the V8 E60 car, whereas the original, it really doesn't do that. It doesn't come out here like this. But that's in, and it's coming together nicely.